Hey everybody, this is the Literate Texan. I'm Randy Roy. The weather's nice at Driftwood Ranch here today, and I have the return of a special guest, Forrest Jackson, who is my rare book loving friend from Dallas. I used to own a bookstore. Most of you know that if you've been watching the channel for any length of time. He was part of my book club there. Today we also have a studio audience. My good friend Brian Bennett is here. Brian, come say hi. He's going to be watching in the background and will probably occasionally make some comments. There's Brian. Brian was also a member of our book club. Yes. But Forrest, as usual, has brought an enormous number of enviable volumes of books. Mostly, do we want to tell them what it's about?
Well, yeah, this is a bunch of Robert E. Howard books and books about Robert E. Howard. You said that last month was
Sumerian September.
And I said on the phone to him, hey, well, any month you can read Robert E. Howard, so you don't need to have a catchphrase to go with it. And so we planned this for last month, and here we are.
Yep. As usual, I'm running late.
So I got to start out by saying I'm not the number one Robert E. Howard fan or most knowledgeable person. There's plenty of people out there who are way more into it than I am. I came to Robert E. Howard mostly through H.P. Lovecraft. And I guess I first learned of Robert E. Howard with the Conan the Barbarian movie, like so many people of our generation did. I wasn't into the Savage Sword of Conan comic books.
I was.
Like you were.
Yeah. That's how I came to Conan, was through the comic books.
Yeah, so I came to him more through, in reading him through the horror side than the action or sword and sorcery side. But we're going to get a little bit of everything today. I'm going to generally go through chronological order backwards. So I'll show first some things that were published recently, like the Dark Man Journal, and there's a picture of the Howard House in Cross Plains, Texas, where I visited in April. They had Howard Days in April this year, which I was very happy with. And I want to show that I'm a member of Project Pride, which is their group out there in Cross Plains.
Cross Plains, Texas is not close to Driftwood Ranch.
Well,
what is it, about 3 hour drive?
3 hours from here, I'd say.
I want to go.
Yeah, it's neat. And if you call ahead, you can get a tour of the house. I went there during the convention, so it was open, and they had some really nice people showing the house.
And they serve barbecue, don't they?
Yeah.
During Barbarian Days?
I missed that part, but I only went for 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
I should have gone for more. So this is like a journal of that has scholars, both professional and amateur, writing up things, and there's a really vibrant Robert E. Howard scholarship going on out there. And so one book that I'm slowly reading is The Weird Tailors, Essays on Robert E. Howard by Bobby Deary, and he was a speaker at the Howard Days. And I was so impressed to meet somebody younger than me who knew more than me about weird tales and H.P. Lovecraft.
And Forrest is indeed a young man.
Well, yeah. Well, I am an expert on Weird Tales magazine. I guess I could proclaim myself to be an expert. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would consider you an expert. And I've never heard of either of these books.
Yeah. Well, this is put out by Hippocampus Press, which is doing some great work.
We used to carry Hippocampus Press books in my store.
Yeah, in fact.
Which closed like 15 years ago now.
I think that I bought this set at your store, The Letters Between H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard. Here's Howard's gangster-looking photo.
I love that picture.
His girlfriend liked it.
I like to think that he's holding a submachine gun just outside of the frame.
Yeah.
He certainly looks like
he was probably strapped with a revolver
yeah.
Under his, or an automatic, I guess he also had. But this is an out-of-print set in hardcover. It's a 2-volume set. I think it remains in print and paperback. And I haven't gotten but about a third of the way through it. And I set it down and need to pick it up again. It is good reading. Let's see. So if I brought things that were of a multiple volume set, I only brought 1 volume.
That one's a 2-volume set, right?
Yeah. So let's see.
I remember that from when I used to carry it in my store.
So here's some more. Volume 3 of Fists of Iron,
Oh,
which is 4 volumes, I think.
I need this book.
The boxing stories, published by the Robert E. Howard Foundation Press, and it is in print. I haven't read a lot of the boxing stories. I understand they're kind of repetitive in plot.
Well, so I have the Del Rey editions, all the Del Rey books in the Robert E. Howard collection. I think there's 10 or 12 volumes, but I believe, and I could be mistaken about this, but I don't think any of the boxing stories are in there. So, you know who else wrote boxing stories, though, was Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have one of his books in there that's half boxing stories, half camping stories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's old. It's from like 1930, I think.
So we talked about scholarship. Here's another one called Two Gun Bob, a Centennial Study of Robert E. Howard. And this is also Hippocampus
You used to
Press.
carry that in the store, too.
Let's see here. Forward by Michael Moorcock.
Two Gun Bob.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be Two Gun Randy. Maybe that should be my new name.
So I recommend this one. And let's see, what else? Here's an older one. Annotated Guide to Robert E. Howard's Sword and Sorcery
Nice.
by Robert Weinberg, who was an owner of the Weird Tales trademark for a while and was editor of a lot of great stuff. He's passed away. I recommend his autobiography that his wife published after his death called Weinberg Tales. I liked that. And so this is early kind of criticism of Robert E. Howard. So let's see, what's next? Here we have volume 3 of the collected letters of Robert E. Howard. He didn't have a whole lot of friends, but he obviously wrote a whole lot of letters. Let's see.
They didn't have TV then. Or
Yeah.
cell phones.
This is number 33 out of 300 copies of the first edition. The second edition is supplemented with other letters, I guess, that have been discovered since. And so let's see. Here's a neat one out of Canada.
Ooh,
I don't know
that's
if
beautiful.
it's pronounced Girasol or Girasol. I'm going to say Girasol. Isn't that some kind of gemstone?
Let me see. Girasol.
Yeah. So this is the volume 2 of the Weird Writings of Robert E. Howard. You recognize this guy on the cover.
I love that cover art.
And so let me show you what it looks like.
It's a beautiful dust jacket.
Yeah, on the inside, it's kind of like a library binding.
Nice.
Well, it's a nice color, but it's not I don't like this kind of cloth for a binding personally. And what this is facsimiles of what was published in Weird Tales.
Ooh.
So you can see the head there. And let's see if we can find an illustration. Huh, no illustration. Oh, there's one.
There's one.
Yeah. Beyond the Black River.
That's a Conan story.
Hugh Rankin.
Probably.
Yeah. So when I bought
Might
this
even
set,
pirates in there.
this is the Weird Writings of Howard, and they also published the adventure stories, but I didn't buy that set. So I have a lot of these in the original Weird Tales magazine, but I'm real weak on the years 1930 and 31, which are some big years for Robert E. Howard.
I saw a video the other day from a much younger booktuber, and almost all the YouTubers are much younger than I am these days. But she had mentioned that there was no real genre of weird. She was just using it as an adjective to describe what she had written. But she said, but yeah, there's no real genre of weird. So obviously she just doesn't know.
Yeah.
She just doesn't know, does she?
Well,
Not only is there the weird, but there's also the new weird.
Yes, yeah.
Which is
Say
also,
that.
I guess, is a subgenre.
I think of weird fiction as following a type of formula that involves a type of doom.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe she didn't catch on to that.
Right,
But
right.
it is a formulaic kind of story, but one that I love.
Oh, she'll learn. She was young.
So here I'll show off some books that were given to me by my very favorite bookbinding student for Christmas. She got me these. This is Solomon Kane, Here, you can hold that one.
I would love to.
And then here's the French language edition. So I could read the French and then read the English page to see how well I'd done. And I can't pronounce French words worth a damn, so I'm not going to try. But I did make it through this book in French. And I mean,
This is something I learned watching The Price is Right.
yeah.
The models move their hands, but the product never moves. And you're not supposed to put your hand in front of the product either.
Yeah, they upstage it.
Yeah, but I'm not as good looking as those women on The Price is Right.
Yeah, I think, isn't Vanna White still kind of a looker?
Yeah, well, she's on Wheel of Fortune, but she does the same thing.
Right, yeah.
You know, the whole, like, here's a bag of coffee I have. Watch, see?
Whoops.
No, that's the wrong way to do it. Sorry.
So here we have The Never-Ending Hunt, a bibliography of Robert E. Howard by Paul Herman. And he lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he sold me this book at his house, in fact. I was happy to buy it because it's just so comprehensive. But he calls it The Never-Ending Hunt because he knows that somebody as prolific as Robert E. Howard, that they're going to find new stuff under pseudonyms, particularly in the boxing and action pulps. And, you know, things that he may have written never had published in the pulps. All right, so now let's go on a more antiquarian journey. These things
Here's where it gets
are
good.
more recent. So I'll show the first of this series of Centaur books, The Moon of Skulls. This is the first of this series.
Look at that.
And it's, I think, from 1969.
It's a paperback.
Yeah, and I want you to see that, 1968. And it's kind of different than a lot of other paperbacks. It's got I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's got a different type font. And it's on a more higher quality paper.
I was going to say, it's a really nice shape.
More higher quality, is what I just said.
More higher quality than not.
And then it's illustrated as well. So here's a Solomon Kane scene.
I'm a big fan of Solomon Kane.
Here you go. I like how Howard describes the wheel lock rifles that they had back then, which are really complicated gizmos that kind of went out of favor because flintlocks were much easier to use.
Forrest is also a gun expert. I just like Solomon Kane's hat.
Well, his hat would be very useful on his world journeys.
But you need a hat.
So then, let's go to, going backwards in time, we have here the Howard Collector.
The Howard Collector.
Sorry for the ASMR noises here.
Hey, everybody.
So here we have
Talking about bugs.
spring 1968 and 69. And the neat thing is that little eagle symbol. We have that dingbat at the bookbinding studio. So I told you about my favorite bookbinding student. I gave her my extra copy of one of these, and she made a protective enclosure and used that very same stamp on it because we happen to have it.
Nice.
Yeah. So these were earlier. Oh, so here's a bunch of letters. Sort of the beginnings of Robert E. Howard scholarship.
But certainly not the end.
So then here we go to, I'm going to say 1964. Let's see if I'm right about this. No, it's 63. The Dark Man, which was the second collection of Howard stories published by Arkham House. And you know it's an Arkham House book if it's bound in Holliston Black Novelex with gold stamping on the spine. Almost all the Arkham House books were published like this. There's, of course, a few exceptions. I bought this 31 years ago, I'd say, because I remember going to this particular collectibles convention, and somebody had previously written his or her name in this book. Why would you write your name in the book if no one on earth could read it? Have a look at that, Brian.
Oh, vanity.
Thank you.
Vanity is all.
Yeah, so that's some short stories that are some really good ones. Some of the good horror stories are in there, which of course is what Mr. Ehrlich was more interested in publishing than sword and sorcery.
Forrest has excellent penmanship.
No.
Mine is only mediocre, but both of us write our signature better than that.
Yeah, that's true. I can do that.
Set the bar really low.
Now for a really rare book.
Oh, this is going to be cool.
Here's
Y'all are going to love this.
Always Comes Evening.
Nice.
I guess that's his first poetry book. And it's, once again, it's got the black cloth. On some of them, the spine is stamped upside down or in the European manner. And then they changed it for the last 100 copies to be right side up. You often do see this discoloring in an Arkham House book with the oxidation, I guess it is, of the glue that he used.
Also in the European manner. A lot of the stuff that goes on here at Driftwood Ranch, it goes on in the European manner.
So here we go, 1957. So this is a pretty rare book. It was published in about 500 copies, a little over 500 copies. And when I received it, I bought it off of eBay. And when I received it, one of the pages was loose. So I wrote to the lady who sold it to me saying, in general, I like the book, but I'm sorry to say that one of the pages is loose. I didn't let on that I could do book conservation. And she's, because I was going to leave it open to her to see if she wanted to offer a partial refund or something. You know,
Right.
so I was throwing the lure out there to see how she said.
Right.
So, but
Throwing that hook in the water. Running it up the flagpole to see if she would salute.
Without demanding anything.
Exactly, because he's a subtle guy that way.
So what happened was she offered to give me, she apologized, and she you know, I expressed that I really wanted to keep the book. So here is a letter that I think was written to her father about titles that were available, and there's an August Derleth autograph it. Oh, and you can see a watermark through there.
Oh, yeah, cool.
You won't be able to see it.
You won't see it online.
Yeah. But so I'm sure Alice Cogden, who was the secretary, probably typed it up. And then you see check marks in pencil, I guess, as to what this Mr. Jones wanted to buy. So while an August Derleth autograph isn't really that valuable, it is neat to get a letter to Mr. Robert C. Jones at North Carolina, here with the Arkham House return address. So, so I was very appreciative that she sent me this, because I don't know why she didn't include it in the original listing, but it was one of those kind of happy accidents, and sure enough, I repaired the loose page.
You know what? I'm going to show off something here, too.
Do it.
So,
Oh, wait, hold off on that
you want
one.
me to save that?
Yeah.
I'm going to save that.
Save that one.
I got too excited there for a minute.
So then, let's move back in time.
But I do have something to show you.
Yeah. To 1953, I think.
1953.
Let's see if I'm right about that. I didn't research all this
70 years ago.
as I came up here. Oh, yeah, 1953. This is a first paperback of Robert E. Howard, mass market paperback, Conan the Conqueror.
Oh, that is sweet.
And let's see, it belonged to somebody named Margaret Hansman, which is stamped in here. I don't know if you can see it. Now, there's something extra special about this. The original story, Hour of the Dragon, which I think was the longest Conan story. But for those of you who don't know what an ace double is, whoosh!
Cool
You
is
turn
that?
over the book, and for 35 cents, you get two books, one reprint usually, and one original. So Lee Brackett was a popular science fiction and fantasy author.
The great Lee Brackett,
Yeah, making a good living.
who co-wrote Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. And so there's that. And I think I got a really good deal on this. Over 30 years ago, it was only about $8.
Also, the sheriff in the movie Halloween from 1977 is named Lee Brackett after that author.
Oh, I never knew that.
That's right.
But I'm a Halloween 3 guy, if you must know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with Halloween 3, but
Yeah.
I watch Halloween every year on Halloween.
All right, so
So
now
just that interesting.
we're going to go to a Robert E. Howard book that every diehard Robert E. Howard collector should have, and that is Skullface and Others, with the beautiful Hans Bach.
It is rare and
illustration.
expensive.
Well, luckily for collectors, this had a print run of approximately 3,000 copies. So they're out there. I want you to see here, during that time period, they did a little bit more gold on the spine. Let's see, am I right about saying this is 1946? Could be 47. 46. It's also, it's kind of small type. I don't think this is as small a type as the Outsider and others. Has the same format of this, tall octavo.
Now, there's an advertisement on the back.
For House of the Borderland.
Green tea and other ghost stories.
Yeah.
I just reviewed green tea for my channel.
That was still in print. Now, I happen to have this in duplicate, so I would consider selling this one for around $900. It's in very good condition. So if you get it, usually these are more beat up than that because they were shared by fans and all. This one has very few flaws.
Also, if you enjoy my channel and would like to buy that for me as a gift,
Yeah.
to thank me for the hours of preparation that I put into these videos.
Now, Robert E. Howard's first book is one of those kind of unobtainable ones. A Gent from Bear Creek. How many copies are there existing? 12?
Not enough.
20 copies?
Not nearly enough.
And I heard that Glenn Lord, who became the Howard executor, had one with a dust jacket, and when Paul Herman helped to go through Glenn Lord's papers and things, he said that it was not to be found. So that would probably be a $50,000 book in the original dust jacket.
I should make a video called A Gent from Driftwood Ranch.
Yeah. Well, you can get the Donald Grant second edition for a reasonable price. The Robert E. Howard Museum does have an original copy of A Gent from Bear Creek, and they have a facsimile of a dust jacket. So we know that the dust jacket was around enough, long enough for somebody to make a facsimile of. So if my information is correct, there was only that one known copy with the dust jacket, and now, where is it? All right, so I promised I promised Randy that I would show something of exceptional rarity. As I said, however wonderful and beautiful this book is, there's 3,000 copies, and it was after Arkham House was established and doing well. So those are all books by and about Robert E. Howard. But what I will show you now is a book owned by Robert E. Howard. And it's not just any old book. If we had a drum roll. All right, I made it. So I made this protective enclosure for it. Ooh. And what we have here, I'll show you the inside first, is...
It's a very small book.
Yeah, it's a pamphlet. The Cats of Ulthar, and I think it says Christmas 1935.
Wow.
There's a picture of the kitty cat there, and the publisher, Robert Barlow, drew the whiskers on. He made 42 copies, 40 of them bound with this green kind of construction paper cover and sewn through the spine, and 2 copies with a red paper that's probably higher quality. Now, I interleaved this with some acid-free paper called microchamber interleaving paper, and I have discovered that the paper that Barlow used was pretty good because it has not discolored the interleaving paper. So if this was really an acidic paper, there would have been a discoloration there. Okay, so now to tell you a little bit more about the history of this book, Robert Barlow was great friends with Lovecraft, and Lovecraft visited him twice in Florida. H.P. Lovecraft loved warm weather, so he stayed there as long as he could with Barlow's family, and even helped Barlow with his printing press. Barlow was an amateur bookbinder as well, and bound a book in snakeskin, if my memory is serving correct about that. So he made this as a Christmas present to Lovecraft, making those very few copies. And then here we have this odd splotching on the front here. When I bought this from Stuart Schiff, he said he thought it looked intentional, not like somebody had just spilled Mountain Dew on it. It's on the front more than the back. And I thought, well, you know, you can't just get this. I mean, there's no copies for sale out there in the world right now. So get it while you can. And then I got to looking even closer at it. And I don't know if we'll be able to see this, but penciled down there is RHB. Let's see if I can, what can I do to make it focus? Well, take my word for it if you can't see it. So what that tells me is he was an amateur bookbinder and experimenting, and he probably did some sort of acid wash or some kind of staining on this for this crazy pattern, and then initialed it, because to my knowledge, other copies are not initialed. So what I have to go with this is a letter from Glenn Lord to Stuart Schiff. It says, "This will certify that the Dragonfly Press edition of H.P. Lovecraft's The Cats of Ulthar that I recently sent to you was originally owned by the late Robert E. Howard. Publisher R.H. Barlow sent Howard copies of most, if not all, of his Dragonfly Press publications in return for Howard sending him first draft typescripts of many of the Conan stories," and it's signed Glenn Lord. So when I got out of college, I went to a science fiction convention, and there was a guy by the name of Bob Miracle toting around these Robert E. Howard typescripts that were
What a great
autographed. Yeah, it's Meracle, Miracle.
Okay.
And I remember he had one of those George R.R. Martin style Greek sailor caps on. That's just what I remember about him. And so he was carrying these around the convention, and I was just out of college. I didn't have money to buy these things, but he had these autographed typescripts that he wanted something like $8,000 or $12,000 for. Like, you know, I couldn't do it. And then later on, they went to more expensive book dealers, and the prices were much higher. So that's what he's referring to, that Barlow would ask Weird Tales authors for their autograph, or he would, you know, do a trade for the typescript. So it's neat to have seen those in person. And that's one autograph I don't have is Robert E. Howard. It's very difficult to get a Robert E. Howard autograph.
I can imagine.
Even though he wrote lots of letters. And speaking of letters, let's see, where did that go?
Oh, you're going to love this.
That's not it.
That's not it, though. But what he's fixing to show you, you're going to love it.
I don't know exactly what you think I'm going to show.
I don't know, but I know there's not supposed to be dead air.
Okay, right. So here from 1936, "Dear Mr. Barlow, this is to express, somewhat belatedly, my thanks and appreciation for the fine copy of Cats of Ulthar and The Dragonfly,"
Oh, cool.
which was his fanzine. And then his next letter on Valentine's Day was to Novelin Price. "I heard yesterday you had the mumps. Now you tell me it's the itch. I wish you'd make up your mind. In either event, you have my sympathy."
Oh, nice.
So he went on to another long letter to his on and off again girlfriend. So yeah, you'll not see another of these Cats of Ulthar unless you get the Necronomicon Press edition that came out in the mid 1970s. So that is most of the Robert E. Howard books. Maybe someday I'll bring a bunch of Weird Tales pulps out here.
That would be really cool.
I do have one other Robert E. Howard related rarity, but it stayed at home today. And if we do this Weird Tales deal, then I'll try to bring it.
We so should.
So do you have any questions?
I do have something to show here.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So,
oh, no, we're going to do that in the next segment. Are we doing
we saving it
t-shirts?
for the next video?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can save that for the next video then.
I insist.
No, I'm going to show it now.
Okay.
We'll show it in the next video too.
Oh, is
Okay.
this a teaser?
Yeah. Well, this is, and I showed this during my video that I made about green tea also. But I mentioned during green tea that I have a copy of Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla, which is about a lesbian vampire that's bound in this beautiful green leather. and I mentioned that a good friend had bound this for me, and this is that good friend, Forrest Jackson. He's a bookbinder and book repairer. So
Yeah.
so
and,
yeah, that's
I
really
enjoyed making that. I published it as well. You know, it's public domain text. I got some help with formatting it on the computer, and then published it. I think I have it in unbound sheets on eBay right now. I'm down to my last copy of my initial print run.
In our next video, we're going to talk more about books that Forrest has bound, and so I'm real excited about that. But that's the Robert E. Howard edition of Randy and Forrest talking about books. Mostly Forrest talking about books and Randy making faces. So thank you for watching.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon.